Hi, everyone, and welcome back to I Live for This podcast with your host, Trinity the Tuck. And my very special guest this episode is one of the winners of RuPaul's Drag Race UK, Krystal. How are you?
Hi, girl. I'm good. How are you?
Wonderful. It's good to see you, over the technology.
Yeah, I know. We've seen each other a few times. We've seen each other at DragCon. I saw you in LA.
Yeah. We've
Um,
not worked together though yet.
no, we haven't. We've never crossed paths like fully.
Yeah, I don't even think we've done a
Yeah.
picture. I don't think I would have done a picture with you. I don't want to be
No, I think we've like
outside.
barely. I think when we've seen each other, we can barely form words.
And now
It's
I'm
been
like
kind of like that time of the night. So,
well, I'm obsessed with you. I think that you're so talented. How old are you? You're pretty young.
thank you. I'm 22 now. I'll be 23 this year, later this
Oh,
year.
you're so old.
I know, girl. I can already see it in my face. I need to go back to
No,
the
no,
doctor
no.
and sort myself out.
That's one thing I love about you. You're not afraid to say that you love a good filler or plastic surgery.
Oh, girl. I'm not afraid to say anything. I'm like, why do people try and be like, I've had nothing done? And they got cheekbones out here. I'm like, who's trying to fool, girl?
Okay, other than filler, have you actually had like any surgeries?
No, the only thing I've been closest to cosmetically is like my teeth. I had all my teeth done and I had a crown, like 22 crowns put in.
Did you
But
go to
that's the
Turkey?
furthest. Yeah.
Everybody goes to Turkey.
I know, it's because especially me, like being so young, if I wanted to get like what I wanted, which is what I've got now, in the UK they would have just no one would have done it. They would be like,
Really?
no, you're too young, we're not gonna do that to your teeth. And then you pay like double the amount if for like a half-assed job. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go to Turkey and I'm gonna get the whole shebang because I'm ready.
Turkey. I got mine done
Yeah.
in Mexico. I went to Monterrey, Mexico, and there's a dentist there. He was
Cam.
a Drag Race fan, and he was like, "Let me do your teeth." And at first I was like, "I don't know how to take this." And,
For sure.
but you're gonna, and he was offering it for free, so I said, "But I'm gonna take it. You can insult me as long
Yeah.
as you give me is like these new beautiful teeth." Well, I've had a couple of things. I've had 2 nose jobs. I had my ears pinned back. I
Did
had
you?
yeah,
Oh, I met someone the other day and they had their ears pinned back, and one of them was just like not quite as pinned back as the other, and it was killing me. I
yeah.
was like, what the
I
fuck?
think one of mine is the same. I mean, I'm really not. What do they call it when your face is even? Symmetrical.
Symmetrical?
Yeah, I'm not symmetrical at
Yeah.
all. But I want to go. But I turned 40 this year. I want to go.
Do you?
Yeah, I want to go in the new year.
Girl.
Get just everything.
I want to do that one day. I'm like, I really want the whole.
You don't need
Like, I'll get all these because of my face tapes. I get like blisters on my face and stuff, and I'm like, I just want it.
What do you do with that? Because girls get that when they glue earrings on all the time. They get scabs.
Yeah,
You just
I don't really wear earrings just because, like, you know, the hair I wear. I've always got long, thick human hair wigs on, so it's like earrings, especially when I'm performing, is like a no go. I just try and avoid it. If I can try and maybe find a rhinestone, but even that, I'm like, you know. So it's always the tapes that give me the blisters.
so when you do when you have blisters, do you not tape?
No, I do. I have to do it on top.
Oh, see y'all. Look, this
So literally, my skin was like cut open yesterday. We done the first date of the winners tour, and we was in because we have to do like 4 numbers. Like I usually do 2 numbers in a show, but this one was like 4 or 5. So I was on stage quite a lot, and obviously for a good amount of time. And then meet and greets, and then afterwards I kind of stayed in drag for a while, and then I took them off the end of the night just drunk, and I kind of tore them off, and then I saw the bit of skin kind of rip apart. And then I done it the next day and tried to be really careful, done it again, ripped them off, opened it back up, and I was like, oh, here we go. This is the first day and I've already got an open wound on my face. This is great.
they
That's drag,
sell.
honey.
I think they sell like a liquid that you can put over. It's called like liquid stitches. You should
Oh,
you should look into this that you could put over like a wound. And
yes.
it makes it almost like it's a second skin. So maybe you
I
would
love
do
that.
that in like in the place of where you're putting the thing. I don't know if that would make the this.
Yeah, I need to try that. I've seen some girls, I think, use something like that before when they've had like a lip lift. I saw someone once, and it was so crusty because they kept gluing it because it kept opening up in the night, and I was like, this is
Oh my
wild.
gosh, that is wild. So you just mentioned that you're on the UK Winners Tour.
Yes.
How is that going? Like you're touring with all the girls but the Vivian because she's on that
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, Wizard of Oz. Cut that out. Um, yeah, so Viv's on the Wizard of Oz tour, doing whatever she's doing, and yeah, we're doing the Winners tour. It's been fun. The girls are camp. We're having a good time. Obviously, it's hard to get everyone in a room at once. So that's been a struggle and timing and stuff. So it's like a little short tour. We're just kind of like seeing how people react to it for the first time. And it's been going really well. It's really fun, and it's just like a fun little show that we're just doing out of nowhere, and then hopefully we can do it again someday.
Who's your favorite that you're touring with, or that you're closest to?
I kind of have my favorites for different reasons. I think my favorite would be Danny, just
Love.
because me and Danny seem to have the most similarities. She's a crazy girl. She also is just like, I love how she'll come in a room. She came in a room yesterday, and she was like, she just went to do some interview. She comes in and she goes, "I've got it. I smashed it. I'm so good."
I
And it was just like, I love that. Like that's
yeah
so drag to me.
yeah.
And then, but the other end of her, I see her like in her head going like, "Oh my god, I'm not good enough. I hate how I look." And I just love her because she's such a character. So she's been really fun to tour with. Ginger's really fun.
God, my
I've not
mic.
really Oh my god, there she goes, honey.
There is falling apart, sweetie. Okay, hold on. So you said Ginger. I don't think I've ever met Ginger.
Yeah, Ginger's new, obviously, because she's just one. So I've never. This is the first time I've ever really properly met her, let alone work with her. And she's been really fun. She's a very professional. When stuff gets a little bit out of control, she kind of starts to like. You can see the walls coming down, and she starts to panic. She just wants everyone to. She's kind of the teacher. She likes to just like organize and make sure everyone's in their place.
Anybody that you're touring
And then Lawrence is just Lawrence is Lawrence.
is there any?
Lawrence is a camp bitch.
Okay.
Yeah, she's got all the gossip,
Oh,
all the
I've
tea.
toured with
She's a
Lawrence.
good one to just sit there and listen to.
I've toured with Miss Lawrence. I know she's definitely the one that has all the tea, all the gossip.
Oh yeah,
She knows
she's
everything.
the one you just go right. Okay, talk. You just sit there and let her go.
She's
She
the
won't
one that
stop.
you go and sit there and listen to her talk, but you don't talk, honey, because
Oh no, you don't get a word in, honey.
no, not at all, not at all, sweetie. All the purple, I love. Well, we
Literally.
have some topics that I want to talk about with you today,
Yes.
and I don't know if you've ever worked with these two girls, and I'm sure you've seen on social media this whole Eureka versus Kim Chi feud about borrowing clothes and smelly clothes. And I talked about it
Yeah.
last week because Eureka had made some comments on a podcast about it, about Kim Chi not letting her borrow some clothes.
Yeah.
But we recently just heard Kim Chi's side of the story where she's saying, well, you stink. And
Yeah.
we're not friends like that. So why would I let you borrow costumes? And so, everybody thinks because we're on the same kind of show, RuPaul's Drag Race, that we're all best friends. And I saw some comments that were like, she should have let her borrow a costume. What if she was in that position? And then I obviously saw a lot of comments of like, I would never let somebody that stinks borrow stuff. What do you think about the situation?
Wow, where do we start? I think the situation is so camp, and I live that it's like Kim Chi just went in because I'm like, there's literally nothing wrong with what she's saying.
She said,
And I live for how cutthroat it is because it's like everyone now is so sensitive and like tries to go around it and doesn't want to say something or call someone out or like actually say what the real tea was because they're scared of like, blah, blah, blah. Boring. Yeah, she went in for the kill. She went in, she said it all. And I appreciate it. That's what drag is. And I'm so bored of like, everyone trying to be nice and everyone acting like we're meant to be nice. I was watching someone else. There was some drag queen, I don't know her name, and she was doing a podcast. She was like, well, since when were we meant to be nice people. Like, obviously we're nice, but like, why do we
Disney
have to be
characters.
like
They want us to be
these?
Disney characters.
Yeah, like we're not that, you know. Some of us look like them, but we're not like that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I live for the hard truth. And also, if you stink, you stink. I have been around people and it's been hell. I've been in Kim Chi's situation where I've been on tour with girls from my season who absolutely reeked and they
Say
didn't
their
know
name.
about it.
Say their name.
Honey, one of them seems to compare themselves to a sausage, and that says it all. And it absolutely
Oh,
stunk every single night, and it didn't stop. So
wow.
yeah,
Did you
I
ever?
fully
Did
get you,
anybody
Kim
ever tell
Chi.
them?
No,
No, you just did
I
it.
wasn't friends with her, so I wasn't gonna tell her because I would have been the nasty girl. So I was like, I'm just gonna keep out of it and keep away and spray where I can.
Yeah, I mean, we get it. Like the thing is like sometimes drag does stink. You know,
Yeah,
you're on a tour and you're performing and you sweat. We get it, but when you have days off or if there's a washing machine in the facility, wash your drag. You know,
yeah.
take that time instead of you know getting on social media or going to lunch with in Kiki. Take that time to like do the things that you need to do to make your job professional.
It also like sometimes it speaks words when people are not aware of those simple things. Like if you're not aware that you are stinking up a room, I cannot bear to think of what else you're unaware of. Do you know what I
Well,
mean? To me, that's a warning.
I just heard somewhere that when you have body odor and you smell yourself within it once you first start smelling yourself within that next hour, that's when people will start smelling you, everyone in the room.
Right,
So girl,
right.
there's no if everybody's smelling you in the room, there's no way
There's no
you're not
excuse.
smelling yourself. There's no way.
Literally. That's what I'm gagged about. And I'm like, how can you, like, not be aware of that? Like, surely.
And
And it's like, it's not even a smell, because, like, obviously, as you said, like, we're all drag queens. We all perform. Our literal, what we do is guaranteed to eventually smell. But eventually, you know, there's a smell, like, of fresh sweat. And it's like, you can cover that up. You clean your stuff. But the smell of, like, what fills up a room, that's, like, something that has
mildew.
been sitting for a long
Mildew.
time.
It's what it is.
Yeah, it's
It's
mildew.
mildew. It's sweat that
Yeah.
is like molded. This is not centrally just like Eureka. Like this is a big problem with a lot
Oh,
of
it's everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah,
everywhere. It's a pandemic, okay?
it is, girl.
That's we need to have a drag intervention. Well,
Honestly, we need to get our masks back on. We need to get our
girl,
vaccines
oh my
back.
god, that's where COVID probably started in her pants.
Honestly, there's a new strain going about now with these girls. Oh,
I wanted to move on to another topic that I recently saw in, I think it was Pink News did this article about how a couple of years ago, the UK, in the UK, you guys were ranked number one for LGBT safeness and like, what did they,
okay.
uh, it was
Like
ranked
well-being
number one
kind of
for
thing.
LGBT rights, huh?
Like a well-being, like the
Yes,
general
yes, you were
safety.
ranked number one
Okay.
in Europe in that in the whole in the area. Well, now you
Right.
plummeted to like let me I'm clicking on this because I don't want to give wrong information. Plummeted to 51%. So in 2015 you guys were at
Right.
86% and now you are in 16th place at 51% well-being, safeness, acceptance. What
Right. That's
do
interesting.
you, because you live there, you're from there, do you feel that?
Yeah.
Do you feel a change?
We've definitely seen. I think we have seen a change. Honestly, I don't really go out a lot and get to like really experience the reality of it. Especially if I go to a club, it's like sometimes I'll be let in the back or whatever. So it's not like we get like the full fair treatment, you know.
Yeah.
So to like hear that, I'm not surprised because I do see it all the time. And I do think it's due to like we've had a really awful government and they've said some horrible things, especially about trans people. They said something about Breonna Taylor. Is that's her name? That's correct, me saying that? Brianna Brianna Jai, is that her name? Okay, Brianna Jai, and she was the 16-year-old trans girl that got killed, and her mum was in court, and Rishi Sunak, our prime minister, was basically making a joke about trans people literally in front of her, and it kicked off, and it's just like, it's wild that this stuff is happening, and it's like, how the hell can you know, justify making a joke about someone's life that is no longer with us and expect to laugh when her mum's sitting. It's just like that. The epitome of that in the room is what's going on right now, and that's how crazy it's got in the UK with the government. So it's kind of encouraged that, you know, violence and that pushback with a lot of the straight people, and it's definitely risen. You can just tell.
What about your own experience with? Because obviously you're a drag queen.
Yeah.
You're very effeminate. You have no brows. You have long
Mhm.
nails. So like
Mhm.
when you're out and about during the day, do you get comments or stares, or like how is that? I'm curious.
Yeah, yeah, no, I do all the time. I always get get the stares, get the looks. We were in a lift yesterday, and it's like an old woman was about to come in, and she sort of stopped, looked, saw me, and literally tried to hide behind the button of the escalator, and didn't come in. And we just went up, and we just laughed. But it's like it's around us all the time. But I think um the UK is really great for, like, we're a very say it how it is kind of country. We kind of rely on our own morals, and we kind of just get on with it. But in a lot of ways, we're a very behind country, and I find in a few ways, especially when, you know, the two that I compare is usually the UK and the States, and there's a lot of things in the States that I've seen that's a lot more progressive than in the UK. So yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I get looked at all the time, but I've always been looked at since the day I walked out the house. So I'm used to it.
You
But I still do be careful because people are crazy out here.
I don't think it's just the UK. Obviously, like
No, of course it's
look at
not.
the
No.
United States right now. Like we are definitely like going way backwards, and
Yeah.
this election is definitely going to be what really decides the future of our democracy.
Yeah.
Not just queer rights or women's rights, but just if we are a democracy anymore. Because I really do feel like if Trump gets into office, he's gonna become a Putin. Um,
Yeah.
but
Scary.
it's everywhere. It's all over the world. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
we had this great wave of um, acceptance and people being way more liberal and open minded in the earlier 2000s up until like a couple of years ago, and then it just has almost went backwards. And I've always said this. I feel like everything in life is like a pendulum. It's like it swings in your favor and out of your favor, back into your favor, out of your favor. And
Yeah.
the statement of history repeats itself is 100% true throughout history.
Yeah, I agree.
Always.
I also would say one thing and just touch on something that I've kind of picked up on, and I think it's within our community, and I think a lot of the defensive ways that a lot of us deal with, say, the straight community or anyone but the LGBTQ, the defense sometimes that we have creating more of a division, and that's what I'm starting to find. And when people get really really offended if someone slips up on um
Pronouns.
pronouns or yeah, anything like that, and it's like there is no, you know, it's going to be rare that someone's going to do it intentionally. Yes, some people will, but I've seen it with my own eyes when people get defensive over someone making a silly mistake. And if we can't accept these silly mistakes, and we can't accept to allow people to understand, how the hell are we going to go anywhere?
No,
Literally, someone came to my house the other day. I had someone come over because I needed a quick maintenance fix, and they saw a dress, and they were asking, and they asked questions, and they were curious, and I was like, I could have, in my head, I could have gone, why the hell are you asking me this? So, you know, you're only coming for a job, go away. But what would that do? You know, and I think we've got so used to doing that as a generation, and being so like, oh, that's none of your business, like, you know. And it's creating more of a division, because I'm like, the most important thing for us and to have these allies on our side is to help them to understand us.
Yeah.
And as soon as we stop that, we are creating a bigger and bigger division that we already had. And I do think that that is also part of the problem. It's not the majority of the problem, but it's something I'm picking up on, that we are doing a lot and we don't realize we're doing it.
Yeah, I know. I 100% agree with you. And I've always said, even before like this whole non-binary movement became like a major thing, I've always
Yeah.
said I was an in-between, because there wasn't,
Yeah.
non-binary wasn't a word that I knew.
No.
So I always said I was an in-between, because I am very effeminate. I feel trans. I don't know that I'll ever physically transition, because I just don't think it's in my cards.
Yeah.
And when I'm not in drag, because I don't want to stand out when I'm in public, I dress like this. I dress in a hat. I dress in jeans.
Yeah.
I dress, I dress casual.
Same.
So when people see me, they're not gonna know to call me they or she. They're gonna most times will say Mr. or Sir. And
Yeah.
you can't be mad about that. If you look a certain
No.
way and they, somebody that doesn't know you, if you don't have a badge that says call me he or she or they, they're not gonna know. So they're gonna go with what they see, and you can't be offended by that. And if somebody is meant, if they're meaning to offend you, then I always say intent is the number one thing.
Of course, and it's so easy to pick up on intent.
Yeah.
Like, it's not difficult. You know someone's intent from the minute they say it.
Yes, and like
You know.
the biggest thing is when people are afraid of things that they don't understand. So if
Yes.
we come off defensive, they're never going to try to understand. And I agree with you. I think it's turning more into a division than what it needs to be. I think as human beings, we all have more in common than we have differences. So
100%. And I think we get so caught up in us being so protective over our community that we're being too protective to the point where we are creating more of a division. And
and we even see that
getting
in our
upset over
community
someone.
ourselves. But we see it in our
Yeah, I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's so tiresome to me sometimes.
Have you
You
ever
know.
seen Glee? I know this is like probably before
I
your
haven't.
yeah.
I actually haven't.
I figured, because it was definitely before your time. There's an actor, his name is Chris Colfer. He was the really effeminate one that was on the cast. Anyway,
Right.
it's a general question. So it recently came out that he was told during his time on Glee not to come out, that it would hurt his career as
Right.
as an actor. How do you feel about either your management or a casting director or a director or someone in higher production telling you don't come out because it will hurt your career? How would you handle that?
I mean, I feel like that is a very like kind of old school way of how things kind of were back then. And it's kind of this. I think it was the same thing, kind of what happened with like Megan Trainor, wasn't it? And she was like told to not, like to lose weight or something like that. And it was like, you're not going to be successful if you don't lose weight. I think that was what it was. And like she was successful because she sang about her weight. So it's like, I think that's a very kind of old thing that is kind of passing now, where people are kind of living off their expression, and it's very important too. And especially with like more of a queer movement, especially with drag and everything, I think people try and express that as much as they can now, which is great. But as far as like people, if anyone told me to not do anything, I'm always like huh. But yeah, depending on what it is. But yeah, if that was me, I would, yeah, I'd be absolutely not. I'd be like, honey, this is what's gonna make me money.
Yeah, I feel like one, he was obviously gay. Like there was no
Yeah.
hiding that. So like baby, like you're not gonna get cast in the straight role. Let's be
Mm-mm.
100%. And you played a queer, like I guess it would be different for somebody like Ricky Martin back in the day, because he was very masculine, and I could see that he would been
Yeah.
great. It passed.
Yeah.
But this guy was clearly like queer. I feel like that's a hard decision to make
Yeah.
because if you're put in that situation and you're wanting to be successful and someone that is there that's going to help you become successful tells you something and you go against it, you might think, okay, this might hurt my chances of becoming famous and making millions and all of that. I think it, like you said, it is definitely different now. I
It
think.
is. But it's like, look at Ray, Ray, um she's amazing. She's just literally, she's kind of in a hype right now. Like, she was always, um she sings about the suppression she kind of faced in the industry, and her being told you can't do this, and being taken advantage of by these people around her who are working with her. And it's, and since she's like literally broke free and done exactly what she wants and kind of fully just let that out, she's literally skyrocketed, and
Yeah.
it's been incredible to watch. So I think it's just like, you know we kind of see it all the time now.
Yeah, I think it's the sign of the times. Like the more we get pushback from conservatives all over the world, the more
Yeah.
we know we're winning because
Yeah.
we're able to do the things that we want to do and be ourselves. And like speaking of that, have you seen Troye Sivan in that video clip of where he's singing on stage and he has this part of his number where he's on his knees and his dancer's holding the mic like his dick.
Oh yes, I saw the photo going around.
So
Yeah.
hot. It was so hot.
So big.
What I'm living for Troy is that he's unapologetically like effeminate, himself, queer,
Yeah.
and sexual. And like he's not
Yeah.
afraid to be all of those things and be himself. I love that. I think that that's so great. I think it's super important that people stay authentically themselves because I think that's where a lot of people gravitate towards is authenticity of
I agree. It is always the case, and I think it's, honestly, you see it so much, especially in our industry, in the drag industry, where so many people, blabber on that they're authentic, and they're like, oh, I'm this. Like, I feel like literally 80% of people are just like haven't got a clue about their own authenticity,
yeah,
and I see so many people, and I'm like, that's not you. Like,
yeah.
it's like, people are never going to relate to you, and then you're wondering why people are like, oh, like, I'm not getting this opportunity, I'm not getting that, my followers aren't there. I'm like, it's because you're in another world. Like,
Well, that's kind
just
of how
like be
Drag Race is
yourself.
now. Like a lot of girls,
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's hit the UK yet. I feel like the UK seasons are still very much like early seasons of Drag Race, but like
Yeah.
now I feel like a lot of queens, in the past recent seasons at least, have really edited themselves where they're not authentic because they are afraid
Mm.
of what the fan base will be like. I will say the past two seasons have had some very bold um, artists on
Characters. Yeah.
who have like been their bitchy selves, and it's been great TV.
Mm.
I'm hoping that that continues, that we continue to see people be authentically themselves because it's more entertaining, it's more relatable, and you're going to get great moments from it with TV.
I agree. I just see a lot of people just trying to be the same kind of person, and trying to be the people pleaser. That's what I hate about people. I'm like, as soon as you try and do everything so you can get like as many people on your side as possible, I'm not interested. Like, it's so boring, it's so cliche, and it's so over and done, and I'm just sick of it. And it's everywhere.
I know.
Everyone just wants to be loved. Everyone's really afraid of saying like the smallest thing, and I'm just like, everyone's just blending into the same person. And as soon as you ask a little, like, a question that could maybe, not be all miscongeniality, they back off. And I'm like, I'm bored of that. I want to talk about the tea, I want to have fun, and I want to be myself, and I want to be surrounded by people that go, this is me, and I don't give a fuck, and I will do that. And so many people are not like that anymore.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. Well, I
Yeah.
think that it would be a breath of fresh air to see you on another season of Drag Race? Would you ever do? I know you get
Yeah.
this question all the time. I got the question all the time too. Until
Yeah.
winners, would you ever do winners?
Do you know what? I would. I'm very, very open to it. I don't know if they've got it in the works. I don't really know what the plan is, but um, I would want to for different reasons, and then I'd also not want to. Um, I'd be afraid that the natural ego that you get off of Drag Race, and everything you'd be given, and especially me being like the makeup girl, this, and like we'll get fed egos. I'd be afraid that I'd let my ego get to me, and that sounds really weird to say, but I feel like if I get on it, I just would be like, even though I always work on being myself and doing my thing and keeping forward, that I would get wrapped up.
I will.
That's the only problem I have. But other than that, I'd be happy to go on because I do have a lot to show, and it would be fun to like go on there with the budget of that season, which is very different from the UK, and be able to like really go off with everything. And also, just I'm very different now. I don't care as much as I used to, especially about what I say and how I come across. So I would definitely give them some moments just naturally.
Yeah, I think the what you were saying about your ego, in my experience going on the All Winners season, there was much
Mm,
less pressure. One, because nobody got
right.
eliminated and we were going to be able to see
Yeah.
everything. Two, you're in a room full of the same caliber.
True. That's what I'd like.
Everybody's won for different reasons. Everybody's drag's different, but you're all on the same level of like
Yeah.
good, like everybody's good. So not winning every challenge was fine. I was fine with that. And like when I didn't win, we all knew going into the season, like once we saw the cast there, that Jinx was gonna win. So like there was just,
Yeah.
like I was just gonna go have fun, and so that's what I did. Is I just had fun. I think that would be the difference, which for you, go at least in my experience.
Yeah.
Previous seasons, there was so much pressure. My first season and even All Stars 4, that there
Right.
wasn't there for the All Winners.
Okay. So maybe it's different. Maybe because I keep hearing it and I'm like, oh, competition, you're back in the competition. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to go back into that. But yeah, if it is like that, then I'll be down because I think it's just if it is the way that people say it is, it's just more of kind of just displaying your
Yeah,
art, which is what I love. I'll be like, work, that's perfect.
and if you have
So
fierce runways, like even if say not that you, because you're very great, you would definitely do phenomenal in the challenges, but even the winner, whoever that is the worst in the challenges, if they have fierce runways, people are still going to be living. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because the runways are really what people tune in for.
Yeah, that's where I'm like they give us that budget. I'm like, oh, I could do some nasty things.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. Well, I want to move on to I do a segment called Am I the Asshole? And I haven't even read the story yet because I wanted to
Okay.
thought on it with you. I'm going to read the quick story and then we can give our 2 cents. It's not long.
Mm-hmm.
It says 6 months ago, I, 27 male, lost my previous job at a software company. I had enough savings to support myself while I found a new job and continued to split bills with my girlfriend of 4 years, Anna. She's 26. We've always split things 50-50 as we work in similar fields and earned roughly the same salary. 2 months ago, I got a job at Anne's tech company, doing the same job she does on a different team. Anne has worked there for 5 years and recently got a promotion. She was initially really excited, and so was I. Working for the same company has been really positive experience for our relationship, except one area: money. I make just over $12,000 more than Anne. It's become clear to me over the past 2 months, every time we talk about budgeting and finances, that she's assuming we're making the same amount. When I finally told her, she was very upset. I hadn't told her that this was what was happening before. and she thought it was unfair to continue splitting the bills 50-50. She also is upset that we have the same job and that I make more. Am I the asshole?
Is she an asshole?
No, is he the asshole for not telling her sooner and not paying more of the bills because they split it 50-50, even though he makes $12,000 more?
No. I think it's only fair, like, that it's always just even. Like, I don't think if someone makes more money, then they should be obliged to spend more money. No, I don't
So
think it is, unless it's their choice.
I have a different opinion. So I used to think the same way, but I recently, maybe a year ago, I saw this podcast with this relationship psychiatrist, and
Mm-hmm.
she put a different perspective in my head, and now I can't unthink it. And
Okay.
she said that in any relationship, each person gives different percentages of things, whether it be emotional support, financial support. The way that your love languages is different from each other,
Yeah.
and so that's not even. Why would paying financially be even if you make a different amount of money? Because it's only going to harbor resentment. Because say he has $12,000 more than her each
Mm,
year or whatever that is that he's making more, and say she's struggling to pay her portion, so she has no
yeah.
extra money and he has all this extra money, and say he's able to go and buy himself whatever, and say he spoils her and buys her gifts and she's not able to do the same thing. It kind of gives resentment. So I think I agree with her where if somebody is making more, they should be paying just a little bit more in the percentage, just so on the dynamic, it's more, the scale is more even though they're making different amounts.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But then I'm like, where does it come in if, say, for example, that person worked really hard for that job, and then the other person was, I don't know, being a bit lazy, say, and they were just, because I've known people and they've been like, I'm like, go and get a job, go do something, and they're like, yeah, yeah. So when does that come in? Because then I'm like, well, that's just not fair,
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
you're right. You're so right. So that's like,
Yeah,
there's so many with relationships, as you know. You just said you're in a relationship. How long have you all been
yeah,
together?
yeah. We've been together for nearly 2 years now. Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, so
Yeah, yeah.
so like in any relationship, there's like give and take, and the biggest thing I think with
Yes, in relationships, yeah. I was thinking of like friends kind of paying, but in a relationship I think it's a little different, yeah, for sure.
oh
And I
fuck
think
my
when you
friends, I'm not paying for my friends all the time.
no, well, because I've lived with friends and I'm like it's like it can be different, you know.
Oh, that's
Um,
definitely, the friends are
yeah.
definitely
That's kind of what I've been thinking.
oh no, no, no.
But yeah,
Friends is
as
different.
far as yeah, I think with relationships, it does. I think it is like um, you got to weigh it out. You know, if someone's making money, a lot of money, and the other person will do um, the other things like help clean, help assist, help do this. You know, fill in some gaps where it helps you out. I'm like, it's a good balance. You just gotta in a relationship, you gotta find that balance
Yeah,
and find what works
I
because that works for me and my boyfriend.
I agree. Does he work full time with you?
No, he doesn't work full time with me. But he's always he works another job, which is kind of quite flexible, so it's quite easy to if something comes up for me, he can jump in. And also with my content, when I get ads, I go right. Here's the brief. Go and read it. Tell me what I need to do, and I'll just sit down, and then you can make a cut from it, and it works really well. So it helps him out, which puts a smile on my face, and then it obviously helps me out because I just get to kind of sit there and I don't have to worry about the ugly stuff behind the camera of editing and briefs and financial stuff. Like, so it works. That's our balance, and it really works for us.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
really great. I've been in a relationship that was very much where my partner was intertwined with my business, and although he was phenomenal at helping me, like he was very very
Mm.
talented and did great, it ended up being not a great thing. I think that's actually what made our relationship separate. So every relationship is different. I'm glad that that works for you guys, because that's it's
Yeah, and I hear
either
it a
a
lot,
good thing or
honestly.
it's not a good thing. So I'm glad it is a good
Yes,
thing.
I agree. It could be one or the other, but I think it's always about kind of working on that. And I think if it gets to a point where you go, oh, something's not right here, it's so important, especially in a relationship, to be able to sit down and conversate about that.
Yeah.
And I also we had a conversation the other day, and it's about how people move on so fast now, and especially our generation. Like people just you see breakups constantly, like the amount of divorces you see just in especially the gay, just everything you see now.
Oh,
I feel like everyone doesn't last anymore.
it's like a
Like it's only the
library
old
card.
people that have gone, I've been we've been with each other for 30, 40 years. Like people aren't together anymore, even for a month. So it's interesting to see, but I think it's because we're so we have so much choice now as a generation, you know, and there's so many things where like keep seeing these things on social media, and it's like a list of icks. Have you seen it?
Oh yeah.
And it's like this video, and this person just scrolls through their notes and adds the next ick, and it's like hundreds. And it's like that is integrated in us in a generation. We're like, you see something, and because we have the choice, and we know we have the choice, we go, oh no, that's not for me, I'm moving on. And I think it's like kind of ruined the organicness of actually being people and understanding each other as people and being able to like disagree, agree, fight, make up. It's ruining that because we just at the first hurdle we run.
Yeah. Oh
And that as humans is just not doing anything for anyone's growth. And I think we've kind of started to understand that in our relationship. We've not been together for long, and we've already understood that and been like, that's just not going to be us. Like we're going to always fight through stuff. We're always going to learn about each other. And I hate this whole like you get an ick and you run. I'm like, no, like, you know, it's not about that. It's just it's but that's my 2 pence. I just find it really interesting. I see people running all the time.
yeah.
I'm like, no
Especially
wonder you're not lasting long.
especially in our community, there's a lot of people who they are always looking for the next best thing.
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
even if they're in something currently, they're always looking for the next best thing. So like what you said, they have a list of everything
mm,
needs to be perfect, and if it's not perfect, they want to move on to the next best thing. And a lot of times the grass is not always greener. You know, that the
uh-uh,
next person might be beautiful,
worse.
or what, or you know, but that might be the end of that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I think it's super important. I think courting is a missed thing that people need to date. People need to date for a
yeah,
while before they commit to that person. That way they get a chance to know who that person is before they're like, okay, I want to solidify this in a relationship.
yeah,
So
I agree. It's also just like being people aren't honest with each other anymore. I don't see a lot of like proper engagement between some people. A lot of us go on our phones and we sit there on our phones, and it also stops us from engaging with each other. And I just think the overall like transparency of like, you know, I see so many relationships and they just act like everything's fine, and they're like, yeah, like we've, you know, we look so good together, and it's like, yeah, but you've not one moment told that other person an honest thing or it's ever come back to you. You know what I mean?
no,
Like me and my boyfriend have arguments all the time. I'm the worst person to be a couple with.
well,
I'm the worst boyfriend, but he loves me and I love him because we balance each other out and he understands me and we're able to talk about things like I'm a crazy person, I'm an angry person, but if I get angry, we talk about it, you know. And I think that's so important just in general, like just to talk about things. And it goes back over to, you know, when we talking about being non-binary and getting like, for example, being very offended when people get the pronouns wrong. And it's like, why can't we just talk? Why can't we just like start to just understand from another perspective sometimes instead of just like going, no, it's not happening.
yeah,
You know, like obviously there is so much understanding you can do, especially from someone that doesn't have a lot of patience. And I very much make up my mind very quickly with things. But,
same.
you know, I just feel like kind of is the same thing.
Yeah, communication.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about, you have your own podcast with Dee Licious called The Girls. What is your
Yes.
podcast about for the viewers watching and listening?
So we actually had been on a break. We were doing the girls. We started up. We were having so much fun with it. It was the first podcast we've ever done. And then we moved, and then I went on tour. and there was a lot going on at the start of the year, so we decided just to stop it for a sec before we can like really invest in it, because we were kind of just like making it work in the little to no time we had. So we actually are starting it again very soon. We're about to bring another girl on the team, which is going to be very exciting. So it's going to be 3 of us sitting there talking everything, about everything, about the good, the bad, and the most controversial things that people aren't afraid of to talk about, which we all like to talk about behind closed doors, and we would like to talk about it on a mic. So it's going to be an exciting podcast, to start back up again, and we've got a lot more budget. We've got a lot more of a set going on, and yeah, we're just really excited to start it, because we're also like really opinionated people, all of us 3. I mean, can I say who the third one is? Shall I just say it? Yeah, well, you probably won't know her, but she's called LaBelle, and she used to be my manager. She's one of my best friends in London, and she's an icon. She's a drag icon in London. Everyone knows her. And she is a Scorpio, and she is a really hard nut, and she's someone that people don't understand, and I'm excited to have her on because she's a really good balance to us too. Because I say what I want, she's brutal, but Dee Dee's a softie. So it's like this nice little 3 we have going on. So I'm really excited to like get back on it and let people in on what we have already going on that people don't know about, you know?
Yeah, I recently met Dee Dee when I was booked at GAY, and
Oh yeah.
she's a sweetheart. She's very,
Yeah,
very,
she is a sweetheart.
yeah.
She's sometimes too sweet, and I tell her, I go, you know, that person wasn't very nice to you, so just stand your ground, girl. You know, but she's a real softie, and she's lovely, and everyone loves her, and she's great at what she does.
I love that. Well, we're moving on to the next topic, which is back in the day gay. And
Uh-huh.
in this segment, we want to know, when did you know that you were queer? Like, when did you definitely know as a kid? What set it off? Was there a person you crushed on, or was there an event, or when did you know that you were different?
Well, I mean, there was a few things. At the top of my head, I remember just being, there were certain films that I loved. I loved Miss Doubtfire. I loved Big Mama. I loved all that kind of like, that was kind of my drag awakening, I'd say, when I started to love that kind of stuff, because that was like the transformation that like something switched in my head and I was obsessed. But as far as like just being queer, I mean, I used to go, me and my nan were very close. And when I was younger, I used to go over to her house a lot, and it would just be like me and her and my granddad, and she'd always take me out to shops and stuff, and we used to get like little magazines back in the day, and they used to have like a pack of nails in them, like a pack of French tips, and I'd always go for that one. I'm like, I want that one. She'd be like, okay, don't tell your mum. And then she'd bring it back, and then because it would come with glue, she wouldn't put the glue on my nails because I wouldn't be able to get them off properly, or my mum would see the residue. So we'd tape them on. So she used to tape all these nails onto my hand, all these French tips from the magazine. I used to just walk around her house just with them. And then she'd bring me to our wardrobe, and she used to have these real crocodile skin heels that I always used to go for. And she had this shoe closet. It was incredible. And I used to always go for them. And I used to just walk around the house with a towel on my head, with acrylics taped onto my fingers, and a croc heel. And I used to live my life. And I was so happy. And that was like my first memory, even now, my first memory of just being like so comfortable, and so like I used to just look so forward to going around my nan's house, because I knew I'd get my croc heels out, I'd get the nails out. So I think that's my like also drag awakening, but also, you know, I was always just in love with femininity, and it always just was ingrained in me, and she always used to kind of encourage that, you know. And my parents are amazing, by the way, but back then they were kind of like, okay, we need to like, you know, just calm that down a bit. But she used to encourage it, you know.
I love
So
that. I love that.
yeah,
Is she still around?
she's not, no, but this was a while ago, and yeah, she passed like about 10, no, just under 10 years ago. Yeah.
Well,
She didn't get to see the drag, but if she did, she'd
be
be my
living.
number one
Well,
fan
she's
for
living
sure.
through me.
Yeah, she'd be like, oh, okay, this makes sense.
Every time you put on your nails, you have to remember her. I'm sure
I know, I literally do. I'm like, this is
for you,
why
Nan.
I love doing this stuff, because it's been in me since I was a baby.
I love
You know?
that. That's a great story.
Yeah.
Probably the best story we've had so far on the pod with
Oh.
with a story. I love that. Well, the next topic is called I Call Shade, and this is where you can spill the tea on a moment this week that you've been shady, that somebody's been shady to you, or that you've seen in the news or on socials. I'll go first.
Yeah, go on.
I don't. You might have heard this because she's so vocal in our government. We have this crazy Republican. Her name's Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Okay.
She's like this bleach blonde, white trash, like super conservative Trump supporter. And there was this. She was basically talking shit about one of these Democrat people, and this is all in in DC while they're working, and the Democrat posed a question saying, "Is this the same thing as if I was to say someone was a bleach blonde, bad built butch body?" And they were talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, which was fierce, and now it's everywhere. I see T-shirts now. Says bleach blonde, bad built butch body, and on TikTok there's a remix of that lady saying that, where it's like bleach blonde, bad built butch body. It's just
I love that.
But I call that was fierce. I really call shade. That was a good shade moment.
That is quite fierce. I can't really think of. I feel like there's so many things that always happen. I'm like, oh my god, like what the fuck is that all about? I think to like something that's just obvious at the moment. I mean, our government's awful. Our prime minister's just an absolute twat. Rishi Sunak, like really just absolutely clueless, and
I feel
we're
like you
about
guys
to
go
hopefully
through.
change over.
I feel like you
Huh?
guys go through prime ministers so like quick.
We do. We do. They literally just like they can't handle it. We're all ruffins in the UK.
Didn't you just have
Like
a
we are
woman prime
crazy.
minister like literally like last week? I mean, I feel like literally like a couple like there was a blonde woman.
Yeah, she didn't last 2 seconds.
Yeah,
She came in and she went straight back out. Yeah. It's been a nightmare, honestly. It's been all over the place. And then this guy that stayed in just is absolutely mental and just like making, especially for the entertainment industry and what we're in, and it's like such hard work, and it's no one's got any money in the country, so he's a shady little cunt and he needs to go.
that's crazy. The last segment we're gonna do is what did you say gay? And so these are 3 tweets by Drag Race girls, and we're gonna give our opinion on what they meant by this, and you can you can
Okay.
even like make up whatever. This is all in fun. So Kelly Mantle had posted, "What in the war of wigs is going on?"
In the war of wigs.
What do you think?
What the hell was she talking about? Was there a reference, or did she just say it out of nowhere?
Yeah, that I don't know, but that sounds like what in the world is going on? That's like just a gay way.
Yeah, what in the war of wigs is going on? I kind of live for that.
Yeah, I live for that too. She's really funny. If you ever follow her,
She is. I really want to meet her because I always hear her on Trixie and Cutty's pod, and she's so camp and so underrated.
So underrated. Such a great actor.
And I just live for that kind of drag where it's just like, it's so like delusional, but also so self-aware, and I love it.
Yes.
Like I live.
Monet recently said RuPaul did not make me choose anyone. Do we know what that's about?
RuPaul did not make me choose anyone.
I think it's referring to when she was on this last episode of All Stars where she chose the winner of the Snatch Game as
Oh yes, she was on it, wasn't she? Yeah.
She chose
right.
and Georges was like the worst one of the group.
Yeah, that's a bit.
I
that was a bit
just
of a...
did a podcast with Monet, and she said the reason why she chose Georges was because she was the worst, and she didn't want her.
That's quite fair.
She felt bad for her. She's like, she wanted to or something since she was.
Yeah, because that wasn't great.
No, it wasn't. And the last one is Vanessa Banji Mateo just recently posed this question, or not this statement. If you know so much, why you ain't do good on your season? That's my question.
If you know so much, why ain't you basically good on the season?
Yeah, why were you?
Yeah, that's tea.
Yeah.
I agree with that. That can honestly go for a lot of these girls now.
Have you ever had?
I'm like, you think you're so good, yet you've not actually looked in a mirror.
Have you had a run-in with a drag race girl that tried to come for you, and they're like, why did they come for you when they did bad on their season?
People don't usually come for me in that way.
Yeah.
Because I've kind of proved myself in that aspect. You know, I looked impeccable. I still look good, and I'm always working to look better and better and better. And I got a crown. So people don't come for me with like anything drag racy, but I'm not going to mention any names because I'll be here all night. But there are lots and lots of people that just think they are Marilyn Monroe walking the streets, and I'm like, baby,
Yeah.
that's a trash can on legs.
Trash
That
can
is
on leg.
that is complete literal compost, and I'm like, that is wild.
Well, I so enjoyed.
But do you, boo? If that makes you happy, girl.
You've been such a joy. I hope that
Oh, thank you for
paths
having me.
cross again and we get to tour together because you're such a good time.
I know. I'd love to tour with you because I done that Murray and Peter tour a long time ago, and you do them a lot, and you weren't on the one with me. But I'd love to work with you and have a camp time.
Yeah.
I think we'd get on well because I think we both kind of don't really care, and we like a bit of shade.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, I hope you have a great day, and until next time, thank all the listeners for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the dolls.